Hi, welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth with Scott Lemwell. How are you,
Oh,
Mr. Lemwell?
good, Perry. I know when we go on these journeys, we go through a particular door, almost always, not always, but most of the time, to get the body to go to sleep, leave the body, go outside of the negative atmosphere of planet Earth, and then go off on a journey because it's the way that we really are as beings. I don't do what I do to satisfy the egos or the childish, spoiled passions of people on Earth that demand people do things for them without their effort, that wave a magic wand and fix them because they won't learn anything and they'll remain stuck where they are that way. So, in reality, the real task is to get people to voluntarily want to exercise turning back on higher faculties of beings that they haven't used in a billion lifetimes. I say something like that and people go, huh? What do you mean a billion lifetimes? This is the only life I have. Then I go to some heaven. No. They've already been doing that for billions of years and it hasn't gotten them out of here. So at some point, an individual decides, like you or I, even pick Earth and they're on Earth and they don't remember who they are or what they are. And they get to a certain point where they realize that religions and everything being taught to them here is not working. It's not fixing the planet. It's not changing anything. It's not healing the planet. And they decide that it's no longer important for them to demand revenge for something done to them by tyrants in another life. If they don't make that choice, they're going to insist upon getting revenge for what was done to them. And then they're going to compel themselves to come back into a life to set up the conditions unconsciously in another life to make the person that did it to them come back and pay the price. And that's a trap. That's what we call karma and reincarnation. And you can never balance it out perfectly. Certain beings that run the lower dimensions know this, and people pray to them, and they are tyrants. They are not benevolent, high sources behind all life. They're just subordinates working in the lower planes that have gotten on big ego trips, really. And they're going through a change right now. They are. So that people can have the opportunity at some point in their life to choose to be the one out of their family and everybody else to not care about getting revenge for what was done to them, not demand this or demand that. They just want the whole unconscious cycle to end. That is when a person starts to make real progress in recovering who and what they are that isn't a physical body that they've long forgotten. That's when that happens, right there. And they don't realize it, but they're already stepping away from karma and reincarnation. Because that comes under the law of one of the basic laws of physics. Everything you feel and think or imagine creates an equal but opposite reaction. It comes back, good or bad. The one power people pray to that's in everything, behind everything, they call it divine spirit without really understanding it at all, is a co-creator with us and a teacher. And if we imagine good and bad every day, like most people, it will simply create both conditions. That's how people get trapped and how tyrants use that knowledge to get people to trap themselves by misusing how they imagine and feel about things. And the people don't even realize they're doing it. So one of the primary ways to get out of that circle, that trap, is to come into the understanding of how to use the creative imagination correctly. If a person fears the present and the future and works to make a good life for themselves and their family on a planet as backward as Earth, then they're going to be creating fear in this omnipresent living first sound behind the first word behind everything. And they're going to be creating good things, and both are going to manifest in their life because the one power that is the power that manifests what we imagine is not our power. As individuals, we cannot master and control it. It isn't a tyrant. It doesn't want to control us, but it co-creates with us. If people really understood how this energy they pray to works, they wouldn't do a fraction of the things they do every day. They would never dream of it. So, if a person thinks in a duality way, positive and negative, good and bad, their consciousness, this round whole being they call soul, is split in half in the way that it creates with the source behind all life. It comes through in two ways that are opposing forces and creates a bind, a trap around the being in the material universe. In like manner, when a being becomes aware that they've been using their imagination incorrectly by splitting it in two ways, and they take the energy out of that and consciously start putting it in one way to create correctly, to consciously create with their emotions and imagination that which will be of an uplifting benefit to all life, they also need to be able to respect the greater supreme being that is infinitely bigger and beyond the planet Earth, out there, up there in the dimensions, things they call heaven. They need to be able to respect that. Other races, other types of extraterrestrials, the different dimensions, the doorways between dimensions, they need to become consciously, cosmically, and not even cosmic, beyond cosmic, they need to become aware of life in the grand multidimensional creation. And individuals on Earth, even though they don't know this anymore, are capable of doing this. Not as the body and brain they have in this one lifetime, no. But as the spherical being that's running that body and brain and not even aware it's doing it. That aspect of us is capable of knowing the source behind all life and how to work with this omnipresent living energy that is behind and supporting all materialistic things like galaxies and planets and moons and suns and different dimensions. It's one power running through the whole thing. And that power, even in the void of space, right outside planet Earth, right in the physical universe between the Earth and the moon and the sun, is not nuclear. If any scientists are listening, quantum physicists, if they got half a brain, they'll go, oh, they know it's not. They call it the God particle. They know it's not what they think it is. It doesn't abide by the laws of physics as they thought it should. It's something else, finer, behind everything. And you have to work with that if you want to get around the limits of time and space, even in traveling between the stars. You can't ignore that and say it's dark matter. It's not matter at all. And they call it dark matter. Well, they're starting to stop that because they know it's not really dark, except the way human eyes, the limited perspective of frequency, can't see what it really looks like. So it appears black in pictures of galaxies, and Hubble and all that. But it isn't. You get above the body and look at it, you can see it clearly as the Atma, as the soul, as the spherical being. That spherical being is made of an energy like the void of space that is not nuclear or atomic. You can't blow it up in a hydrogen bomb. It isn't that kind of energy. It's the energy behind all energy, behind molecular time rates that make up different dimensions, matter and molecules and protons and electrons and all that. They spin and get motivated from an energy behind all that. So to recover being a race of beings on a planet like Earth and play among the stars with billions of other races that know about this, we have to join with the greater understanding. We can't take what we have on Earth and all this unconsciousness, can't remember who we are, people getting married, they don't even know who they're dealing with, having babies and not knowing what's going on. If you live or you die and you don't remember anything that you knew before you were born here, and you want to take that out in space and throw that on people out there that know better, that's never going to work. It's impossible for people on Earth to go play among the stars the way we are on Earth today. And I'm speaking practically, physically, space travel, right in the physical universe, in one of these bodies on a ship. You're never going to get a tin can with a rocket out the back to go fast enough to get anywhere that means anything, even to Mars, practically. Because people can't survive in zero gravity for 2 years each way to such a destination in a rocket ship. It won't work. Something else has to come along that takes the place of the beginning stages of space travel, means rockets using huge amounts of explosive gas and fuel to get a payload just into orbit, flying without the engines on to get to the moon, a couple of days there and a couple of days back, that kind of thing. That's not practical to get out among the stars in one of those. Never. People on Earth are just becoming aware of this energy they call dark matter and what it is. You know, there's gaseous elements in what they call dark matter that might have some molecular nature to it, but the actual element or the energy behind it isn't dark at all, and it's not matter. It is energy, but not as it's understood by people on Earth. Maybe a few classified scientists might know about it to a limited degree, but that's about it. Just because somebody can reverse engineer an antigravitic propulsion system doesn't mean they know how to pilot the sucker from here to another star many times faster than the speed of light and survive it. There's two things. There's the technology that uses energy that's in the universe to get around through devices in their craft that doesn't even use energy, passes it through the device so it can move from point A to point B or fold space. And the energy that comes out the other end is not out of tailpipe. No energy even gets used. So why would anybody use atomic nuclear power with radioactive isotopes in some kind of a, what do they call it? Some kind of a reactor to drive steam to make electricity to drive a ship? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. So that kind of thinking is not going to get people out among the stars anyway, practically. Try taking an antigravitic spaceship, reverse engine on Earth, and get pilots to fly it way beyond the speed of light and get clear out into the stars. They're going to have real troubles with that because they've got subconscious minds that influence things that cannot be there to influence things when you travel that way. Negative and positive thoughts and all that can affect the results of what we do in such vehicles. They're almost telepathic in nature. We almost have to understand how to communicate with the one source behind all life, this energy, right in the physical universe, in order to get around properly. There are races out there, kind and very highly evolved, that know how to do this. They could bring it here and give it to people on Earth, but the way people are now, lying to everybody, deceiving everybody, suppressing everybody, polluting everything, no. They're not going to give it to us. The only people that were real beings that were giving technology illegal to people on Earth were through Nazi Germany. Nuclear bombs, we didn't come up with that. Oppenheimer didn't solve that. There are German scientists working on that. It was given to them illegally by tyrant races off-world that broke a treaty to give it to them. And Hitler is dead. It failed. If he had succeeded, he had murdered 3/4 of the population of this planet under orders of someone else. That's how that war really was. Of course, they classified it. Scare people to death after World War II. You can't tell them that. You could now, but not the way people are panicking over hoarding toilet paper because of the pandemic and creating shortages that don't exist. You can't tell people that misdirected and angry and in revenge about any of this because they'll react the same way. Wouldn't they? So there's some things that need to be solved to get full disclosure of our place in the universe that people have been denied knowing even more strictly after World War II than even prior to that. When laws are created in a not really illegal way to circumvent the balance of power in government, if you classify anything, it means that certain balances of power are not privileged to know what it is you're doing, and they can't serve as that balance of power. As far as the Constitution of the United States is concerned, technically it doesn't exist after Truman established the National Security Act, so they could not tell people the truth. Across the board, government people, military people, citizens, that is okay maybe for a time, yeah, to get people to rebuild a damaged world. But if you keep doing that, decade after decade, we're not going to come up to the kind of level we have to in order to get the help from beings from other worlds that could come here and clean this mess up for us and wouldn't even charge any money. But we have to be able to be trusted with that. And now there's no tyrants that are allowed to come here to give us technology this way. They've been removed. So, and I've said this before, Earth, the solar system we live in, is quarantined. It's not my power that did it. I'm not against governments or royalty or classified people per se. I'm not their enemy. I may be one of the best friends they'll ever have, because our interest is to help this world change without this revenge and hatred and destruction. It's the only way we can do it. Otherwise, Earth will just annihilate itself. And we'll step back and let it go up in smoke, if that's what they really want. But then again, Earth people tried that, and something stepped in and prevented it, despite what people on Earth in a classified area tried to do with this planet, blow it up in nuclear war. And they did. So the fact that that's been prevented is hopeful and good, because it means that someone is looking out for us despite our own misdirected subconscious natures, until we can get up to where we don't need to be supervised that way. In other words, I don't know any beings out in the universe, that most of them are wonderful, that want to run the governments of this planet. No one would want that god-awful task. Everything's too perverted and deceptive and dishonest here. They want us to clean up our act with their help, and then you can't have a one-world government here, run by your wisest and most benevolent people who are really fit for the job. Not these selfish, egotistical people all over the planet running things for other people and lying to them about everything they know. That won't work ultimately. Doesn't matter who's in charge or who's in power or what tyrant thinks he's a tyrant here and other dimensions. Ultimately, that kind of thinking is doomed to fail, because it isn't the way it is predominantly out there among the stars. We have to grow up and take our place with them. They're just beings like us, except they don't have the disease we have. They don't live as short lives, things like that, because they aren't as twisted as people on Earth are. Simple law of physics there. Every action creates an equal but opposite reaction. I would say people on Earth need to discover or awaken or recover, by some miracle or another, how to use what they imagine, when they imagine, properly. Because that is the key for beings to be set free from being unconscious, living in a lifetime with no memory from what they did before they were born. Who did what to them when? Why are they here? Why do they not remember anything? There's a history to that. And when people discover that history and have the courage to confront it again, just as reviewing a memory, they can get over the traumatic effects subconsciously that has on their life on Earth. And then their higher faculties start turning back on. It is a process. It's not my process. It is a new process in the omnipresent living life force people call divine spirit that's in the universe in a new way that wasn't there before. We're living on a planet as backward as Earth is, with human beings that are subconsciously misdirected as much as they are here, at a time when great change is taking place out in the universe. It's coming through this planet. It cannot be prevented by any power on this Earth. It's bigger than they are or they'll ever be. And it's moving through them right now. It's moving in one direction. It's not dualistic in nature. It's not part of the law of physics. It is the master behind it. And it's moving in one direction. So we need to align ourselves with that for our own good. As a race, as people. When people on Earth discover that all the races represented here Asian, African American, Caucasian, Semitic, Aboriginal, American, Asian, Indian, all these different races that are here, South American, never originated on this planet or developed here originally. The world will change in very big ways, because that's true. No human race evolved on this planet when it was capable of supporting human life after the dinosaurs were made extinct, the big ones anyway. Even cavemen were brought here as an experiment. None of this evolved here. No cavemen came out of a fish from the sea walking on flippers that suddenly became human. Ooh, no. They evolved in other worlds out among the stars billions of years ago. Humans like this, very old races. Humans on Earth have twin-stranded DNA. Humans in other worlds have 4 or more. Some have 2. But they have all the genomes turned on. No junk DNA. 100% use of their brain in the bodies they run as atmas, photographic memories, telepathic, and they speak. That's normal. There are people on Earth out of habit generationally that have a vested interest in not wanting people to discover this. But they do not have a choice in this matter anymore. This is bigger than Earth. And it is infinitely bigger than Earth, and it's moving through our solar system. So when I do my work, it's to help people get aligned with that so they can recover who they are as a being. Isn't one of these with a brain or a body, and they're running it through the pineal gland, or it would sit there and drool and do nothing. Brains by themselves don't run bodies. The being, which is spherical, what people call soul, runs the body. And most people on Earth are not really aware of the depth and breadth and width of what that means, because it's this being that can comprehend the source or the prime creator and the energy that moves through all creation, because we live and move and have our being in it. And it's a telepathic connection, not psychic. Telepathic, that is not psychic. That is a pure line of communication between each atma, the center, between other atmas, all the way through the planes on this one power, all the way to the source itself where we all came from. When you begin to recover that, you can ride on it, go experience stuff. That's very important. So you think any of your listeners now to what we do would have any questions, or Perry, or?
Yes, I have 3 questions from Mr. Victor, I think. During my journey, the round shape of my Atma does not have eyes, but I can see through it with my imagination, which says with the body. Is this correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Next one. I didn't hear for a while. Think of and safely show me. Not relevant.
Say that again.
He said, I didn't hear for a while. You said, safely show me deliberately. Remember this sentence? You will lead us before we go for a journey.
Yeah, deliberately.
He said, didn't hear for a while.
Yeah, okay. Safely show me deliberately hidden truth on a grand multidimensional scale. Safely show me deliberately hidden truth.
So each time we should say this before our journey, or not necessarily?
Well, it helps. You don't want to become like a habit where it's just, you're just doing it like, chewing gum or something. It's You do it every time as if it's the first time you're ever doing it with childlike wonder. That connects the emotional energy, which is the battery that powers, and it's not from this dimension, the Atma moving around creation and remembering things and recovering things. I'm just trying to find, oh, here they are. So many times within these techniques at the back of the Slavery's Agenda book, which is published in the world through my Total Spectrum Publishing Company now, so that it can be promoted without the limitations of people in publishing companies who don't know any better than to do the wrong thing half the time. So I'll just read one of these. Will you safely show me purposefully hidden truths on a grand cosmic multidimensional scale and the much greater knowing of the expansive love within it? What do you think those words are put together a certain way to tell this omnipresent first sound what to co-create with you? If you can't formulate those words the right way, which have visual three-dimensional images attached to them, to it from you as a being, from the white core of your being, then it won't do anything for you this way. It's a co-creator with us. It's waiting for us to be awake enough to co-create with it, not only recovering and getting our own freedom back as a being, and remembering that we've never been a body, never will be, and never have been, but we can run them. This is number one. Safely show me purposely in truth on a grand multidimensional scale and the much greater knowing of the expansive love within it. It's throughout these techniques.
This technique is on what page, Scott? Can you say?
They're on lots of pages, 291.
Okay.
Of course, in Thai, they wouldn't be able to read it, but you can help them with that. 299.
So for those who have your books, they can read and check it out. Yes.
306. And they're involved in different techniques for each chapter in different ways.
Yeah, and I would like to say that myself, before I go on journey, I use this technique on page 327 almost every night.
315, 317. Safely awaken the clear ability within me to know with confident certainty, that's important, which books, feature films, and music available on Earth today channel special energy to stimulate the awakening of suppressed or dormant higher faculties. Now, who would have thought to put those words together, which involve your imagination? You're sending this out into this power, this one power, and it will create this with you if you're consistent and sincere with it. It will just create that, and your life and everything changes, okay? But if you're not aware enough to do it, it isn't going to help you. You pray to it all day long till you turn purple. It doesn't respond to prayer nearly so much as it responds to what you imagine. So childlike wonder is constructive and uplifting. Ooh, ah, that's only good. So it hears that and then it'll create that. 322, a couple of places. 324, safely show me the ability to directly connect to the ray, new kind of energy moving through the omnipresent first sound. Within the hue, first half of the word human, hidden in plain sight, I'm adding these words. So, safely show me the ability to directly connect to the ray within the hue and ever more greatly awaken the knowing experience of the new ray's consciousness liberating qualities. If you can't tell this omnipresent divine spirit, people call it, what to go do with itself this way, it won't do anything. Show me what is now underway in the universe and hidden behind the scenes on Earth that has begun the process to permanently liberate covertly suppressed people worldwide. I'll read the whole thing again. And you could interpret this into Thai for people. This is a good one. On 324, okay, but I'm going to read it for English-speaking people. Okay. Safely show me the ability to directly connect to the ray within the hue. Say it in Thai. Safely show me the ability to directly connect to the ray within the hue.
ขอให้แสดงอย่างปลอดภัยให้ฉันได้เชื่อมต่อกับแสงเรย์ในเสียงฮิว
And ever more greatly awaken the knowing experience of the new rays, consciousness liberating qualities.
และได้มีประสบการณ์จากแสงเรย์ที่ได้เปลี่ยน conscious ใหม่
Show me what is now underway in the universe and hidden behind the scenes on Earth.
แสดงให้ฉันเห็นสิ่งที่กำลังเปลี่ยนแปลงขึ้นบนโลกนี้ที่ถูกซ่อนเอาไว้
That has begun the process to permanently liberate covertly suppressed people worldwide.
ที่ได้มีการเริ่มการเปลี่ยนแปลงซึ่งได้มีการปิดบังเอาไว้ทั่วโลก
So if people go into the hue to get calm, it will shut down negative subconscious drives. You can tell them that.
สำหรับคนที่ให้ส่งเสียงฮิวออกไปเนี่ยนะคะจะเป็นการปิด subconscious ที่อยู่ที่ตัวเราที่มันเป็นตัวที่สร้างความกลัวให้กับเรา
And when they feel kind of good and relaxed and serene inside, they begin to send, then they should say this statement.
เมื่อรู้สึกเป็นสุขและสงบนะคะให้พูดคำพูดเหล่านี้ออกไป
And then they should hue maybe for 10 or 15 minutes with childlike wonder. Then pause and just look and listen. Then do it again. Pause and look and listen. And at some point, they'll just get a nudge to stop. Then they should go into using their creative imagination to visualize what they want to see and know out in the universe. That kind of thing. You can tell them that later, I suppose. There's a lot here.
Yes.
327, there's a whole bunch, 4 of them.
Yeah, I do this every night on this page.
Reveal ever more deeply during my dreams my experiential background in the multidimensional universe. What am I telling the omnipresent thing people call divine spirit to do with me? It's not selfish. Reveal ever more deeply during my dreams, what people call dreams, my experiential background in the multidimensional universe. Here's another one. Assist me to experience my real higher nature, what I was and wisely knew before I came to this planet and began incarnating with all former memory occluded and suppressed in physical earth human bodies. That's a big one. Here's another one. Show me at night my true origins on other world systems and its higher dimensions while I'm out of my sleeping body exploring the grand multi-dimensional universe. Here's a big one. I am ready to go on a fully aware journey to Prime Creator, to the source behind and supporting all life in the grand multi-dimensional universe. That's big. I know that I am capable of recalling the experience of what I really am and my higher true co-creative destiny with the benevolent Prime Creator, what people on earth refer to as the Supreme Being. I am also ready to temporarily leave my physical body to journey home in order to return to my body again as a free being who can help bring about the uplifting transformation to planet Earth, its people, and the entire lower dimensions of the grand multidimensional universe. That's probably the most important one because it's not selfish. It involves the benefit of the person doing it, but it's for all life as well. This is the kind of thinking people need to get into. So 329, 331. 333. Safely, awaken within me the greater conscious knowing awareness of my abilities to co-create beneficially for the uplifting good of all life in harmony with the benevolent master teachers who recently greatly expanded mission is to liberate suppressed beings on planet Earth on all worlds through the new ray operating in the hue. That's huge. First, you have to know what the new ray is. And what is it to mean to be operating in the hue? What is the hue? Well, look at the void of space, that black stuff between planets and moons and stars. It's not nuclear. Stuff moving through it is, but it itself is not. And all that stuff floats and moves and has its being, its existence, supported by this other energy. And that goes through multiple dimensions in the physical universe and into higher major divisions, all the way up to what some Buddhists and esoteric groups on Earth call the void, a barrier, and then up into the upper realms, where each one of us originated from before the worlds of time and space were even made. So you have to ask yourself, how old am I as a being? Not a body or a brain, but as the Atma, made of this source energy. It's beyond the age of the multidimensional universe. So that's at the back of this. And that answers that question. You have one more question, I think?
Yes. During the journey where the consciousness stays with the body or goes with the Atma?
What?
During the journey where the consciousness stays with the body or goes with the Atma?
The consciousness doesn't stay with the body or go with the Atma. No. The consciousness is the Atma, and it can come to, go from, or run bodies. The Atma goes places. You, the real you. Consciousness doesn't leave the body and go with the Atma. The person asking the question needs to realize they are the Atma, the consciousness running the body and brain through the pineal gland, the control mechanism in the body. And it goes out and leaves that body every night when that being puts that body to sleep. On Earth, it's not taught. No one even shares it with kids or adults growing up, so they don't know it. They don't use those faculties. But on other worlds, they do. They know this stuff. So it's, I think, time for people to begin to recover in most extraordinary, uplifting, unexpected new ways. Hope that helps. That should help. Consciousness doesn't leave the body and go with the Atma. Consciousness doesn't leave the Atma and go with the body. Consciousness is the Atma, running a body or leaving it on automatic and going somewhere else. What people call soul actually has a structure, a shape. It is spherical. It's not the astral body. It doesn't look like a light body made like this. That's how bodies look on the astral plane. But that's not who people are either. That's just a body living a life there out of the matter, the molecules made in that time rate of the astral plane, where all the motion comes from. Everything in that dimension, this next heaven, is moved by emotion instantly. Down here, you got to pick up and push things around. As you go up the planes, causal, mental, and etheric, it becomes more extraordinarily easy to move things around. The mental plane, thought just moves it. In the etheric, it's more of a pure hue energy that moves things around, still mixed with a little bit of negativity. So it can be a trap for beings running bodies there because they get so pleasureful and there's so much phenomena. You know, it's like you live there millions of years in a body. There's no aging. You don't die. It's so people get stuck there. They don't want to go across the void and return back to where they came from and fulfill their purpose, which is to consciously co-create new ways of doing things for the benefit of all life in the entire grand multidimensional universe. It won't work if you're just fixated on doing it for people on Earth or your neighbors. That's only a beginning. The Atma, not the body, is capable of understanding and comprehending this. Once it wakes up enough to do it, choose to do it. Yeah. Any other questions?
No, but and could you please show the another book, The Emerald Doorway?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I do this every time and I'll show it. That is the planet Saturn in our solar system. These are the ice chunks or ice rings made of water frozen that make up the ice rings of this planet. This is a mile-long Emerald Star Cruiser, double-ended bridges, one on each end. It has no open launch bays, and it moves through interdimensional doorways between realities to get around the universe. These are 30-foot in diameter scout craft with 3 hemispheric pods on the bottom, antigravitic light glowing around them, and they raise their molecular time rate in order to pass through the metal hull of this ship. Lower their time rate and land in a hangar bay. There's no open launch bay doors. This is a scene from this book. This is original artwork created for this book. It's not taken off the internet. This was done by an artist I hired and me collaborating to get this just right. This is a man on the back named Mark Sanfield. If you look at this, you can see 3 assailants in black costumes. They're trying to kill this guy. He's in a solo camping trip in the High Sierra Mountains in California. They're blowing away a chunk of this tree, and a ship with a human pilot is rescuing him from Earth. And he doesn't even know for sure if extraterrestrials exist. But he's published a conspiracy theory novel about a hidden government that is heading the world in the wrong direction. And it's become very popular. So somebody wants to get rid of him. The techniques are in the back of this. This is the Emerald Doorway. It is book 1 of the Parallel Time Trilogy. There are 3 written books. This is the first one that's published of the 3. And as you can see on the front cover, you can see what a being looks like. If I can get it to stop there long enough for the camera to focus. That isn't a physical body. And this is called the ancient one in this book. It's come from an interdimensional doorway between the 5th reality above the void known to Buddhists and certain esoteric groups. It's beyond the lower dimensions of time and space. This is Captain Kalem's ship. It's 3 hemispheric pods. It's stationarily hovering there. They've come out of that ship on these anti-gravitic discs which gravitate them to it, and they can fly through the air on this with their will. It's a telepathic link. These are humans. She's got blue skin. She can breathe underwater, on land. They are not from Earth. This man is not from Earth. He's a master teacher. He's holding what looks like, if I can get this camera to focus.
Yeah, I can see it clearly, Scott.
Okay, because I don't see it too well on my end. But it's like a quartz crystal staff with an Ankh symbol on top. They have one of this in Egypt. It's a cross with a vertical oval hole in the center. It's a device. This being is a Dren. He's from her home world. This creature has a photographic memory. His tail glows like bright opal in bright sunlight, crystal opal. He's pale green, has big bulbous blue eyes, dexterous hands and feet like a human. But this guy can levitate and fly through the air. He's a silica-based creature. His DNA is silica-based, not carbon like us. And he's a master teacher, and he's a cute little courageous guy. So when you read the Emerald Doorway, you'll see images in here, more than 30. Extremely well done artwork in black and white. And you can see Etta levitating off the ground. You see his little fingers and toes like a human. Cute. He almost looks like he's smiling when his mouth is closed, big bulbous blue eyes. He uses 100% of his brain. He's telepathic, has a photographic memory like normal humans in other worlds do. People on Earth need to recover these kinds of things. Anyway, I wanted to show you that. So you'll find scenes, certain scenes and images of characters from the book here to help you through it. And this is a great adventure because it deals with what happened more than 100,000 years ago on Earth when the last poles of this planet flipped, destroying almost all life on the planet and raising up new continents. Happens overnight in 24 hours. 6 ice ages in 600,000 years. You're told in school these ice ages take place over a long period of time. This is not true. So they classified it when they found this out. This is a scene from the book, original artwork. Real actors portrayed these to get these on this book. This is a human who goes bad. He wants to control the Earth. He's holding a particular crystal, one of 3, that are used by this master teacher with this device. When a student's ready, they're transported to the realm of the Ancient One where they become a master adept in their own right. This involves extraterrestrials' involvement in Earth unknown to the people on Earth from Lemurian, Atlantis, and other cultures long ago. And it involves kind of what happened back then. And that's just 100,000 years ago. The 2 sequels, the next one titled Guardians of the Ancient One, what these beings in the book don't realize is right yet in this is above their heads right here is one of these, smaller in scale, hovering above their heads. They come from the same source this prime creator does. So we are co-creators with it, made of the same energy, identical. And people on Earth don't remember any of this generally at all, especially what this looks like. The thing they call soul, and they have no idea what it really is. This is what's came into existence in the image of the source, not one of these. They got that all wrong on Earth. So that's that book. And people can get it. I think perhaps as a little bit of an assist here, I could share with people, as I do on these shows, a little journey so that they can understand how to put the body to sleep. They do it every night anyway. But to do it in a way where they remain conscious when the body goes and shuts off. The blood works, the heart works, the lungs work, but nobody's home. The brain is turned off. It's just running the body to keep it alive. People do this every night like experts and don't have a clue that's what they're doing. Actually, the brain doesn't do it to itself. The being is unconsciously making the pineal gland secrete serotonin, make melatonin, and these are chemicals, whatever you want to call it, that make the body run on automatic while you're gone. There's an energy link. It's a pure white golden light, goes from the white core of your being into the brain and runs the body. No matter how far out and across time and space you are, that link cannot be severed. It's not a psychic link. It's not a silver or golden cord between, say, the astral body or the mental body and the physical. It is not any of that. It is something that is purely connected from the white core of the being, that's part of the source energy, to the pineal gland. So you can't really break that cord. If you take a lot of fear and negativity with you into the dream state at night, fearing everything, then you're going to create, this omnipresent energy is going to create these conditions we call nightmares. It's going to create conditions that you were fearing. So it's important for people on Earth to stop putting any attention in fear, revenge, hate, anger, any of those things. It just traps them here. The thing they're praying to will just trap them here because they're doing it and asking it to do that without really being aware of it. We're meant to use our energy as one whole thing for the good of all life. That is what we're meant to do. Until people on Earth do that, they will be trapped in lifetimes, unconscious. The energy that's moving through the Earth now is designed to undo that nonsense, but people have to cooperate with it. It's not a tyrant. There are many tyrants who prop themselves up as gods of eternity that live in the lower planes and run things that aren't out for your goodwill or interests. They just want to be worshipped and keep you recycling. It's our job as awakening beings to not give them attention or energy anymore. We should be giving it to the source we come from. It's way beyond those guys. And they are being put through a change right now as well for their benefit, so they don't act like tyrants anymore. Something's underway now that's never happened before. So let's go on a little journey. When people close their eyes, they can be sitting down or lying down. It's good if they first, just with childlike wonder, imagine someone they love and respect and they're grateful they are in your life. It could be a child, it could be a cat like Starlight that I have that's so wonderful. And he travels with me even into the higher worlds because he's an Atma running a kitty body. And he's quite bright and he's telepathic. He's asleep at my feet right behind this chair. He always goes on these journeys. There he is, kind of in the background, but there he is back there. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I'm telling you the truth. Too bad, but I am. That's the way it is. Imagine someone you respect and you're grateful they're in your life. You love and respect them. Could be a wife, could be a child, could be a waterfall, a hummingbird, the stars at night, a clean air and clean water, whatever you can imagine that's constructive and good. Because it opens a certain doorway. It's the kind of thing you should all be doing before you drop off to sleep, to set up the conditions of experience and the return of your conscious awareness of what and who you are as an Atma that is not and has never been a physical body or brain. It is that which runs such things. When I breathe out, I'm simply of will turning off every subconscious or conscious influence that's of a negative nature. Fear, doubt, speculation, theory, even faith or belief, because they're uncertainties. They are belief, not knowing, not real direct experience. As soul, as the Atma, we're meant to know things with certainty. And it's the only way you can co-create with the source, when you're confident and certain about what you're doing with it, and it can trust you. This is essential, and it is required. So to get free, to wake up, to join the star people, to join people from other worlds, to play in other dimensions, we have to do our part. Earth and its people are actually ready to do this, and they have no clue they are. The people running governments, classified and other ones, don't have a clue they are, and yet some of them have been told from beings from other worlds they do not have a future in space the way we are, and we will not have one. Space is already occupied by much more advanced races that travel the stars. We need to join them, and then many of them are humans, so bear this in mind. And then I will send out the tones of the hue, which is the first missing word from scriptures on earth. It's not a printed word, it's a sound. It's the energy behind all things, and it has a vibration and has a sound and it has a visual light, and it's pure. And human beings, the first half of the word human, hue, has the ability to open a door to connect with it in a conscious way. That one power out in the void of space goes up the dimensions way beyond the void into the source of all life. That cannot be changed by any power or being on any level in creation. It is the way it was at the beginning. It is the way it is now. That one energy, that one power is a conscious living energy, and it supports all that exists. There are beings in creation who maintain the mechanics of creation as people see it. When I begin these tones, it's to help you, assist you to put your body to sleep, that you do every night anyway, but you remain conscious with my voice. It's a certain function, something I was trained to do, something I learned how to master to a degree with friends from off-world, from out of town. And this is all done for the benefit of people on Earth, among other worlds and other realities as well. I don't just work on Earth. So when this goes out, it helps what's called a body you're running in the next division, the next heaven, if you will, which has got positive and negative and good and bad and wars and everything else. This next heaven people think they're going to when they die isn't exactly a pure heaven. Causal, mental, etheric, they aren't either. As you go up, they appear more pure, but there's still kind of a trap for the real being running bodies out of molecules in those planes. There are different molecular time rates of matter. There is an energy behind all that that simply it all floats in. It's supported by it. And it's not supported like this way. It's everywhere. It's all floating in this one energy. It will help your astral, causal, mental, and etheric bodies on the planes you're living in right now, running 5 bodies at least as a single atma, single soul, to gain experience on these different levels: emotion, mental, etheric, a link between the upper worlds and the void, astral, emotion, physical, pushing matter around. These are different faculties of the Atma running different forms on different planes to gain experience and eventually come up with new ways of doing things to help the source itself, prime creator, that's right, how to solve the bigger problems it has in eternity. And that is, how do we make the lower planes of time and space, fixed and finished as they are, unfixed and unfinished without destroying them, become mirrors of the upper realities. This is our job as beings. It's why we exist as what you call a human being. In fact, it's why all beings exist on any world in any dimension. I'll begin those tones now. You. You. More than 5 were sent out, of course. One for the physical, the one you're familiar with. Some of you may be familiar with your astral form, running a life there, causal, mental, and etheric. But we go past the void. It's just many people think that's the end of all that is, the supreme source. It is not. You go beyond that through knowing how to imagine it, which is how you tell this omnipresent power to get you there. Then we go into the first realm of the first plane above the void, and the energy there is quite different from the lower worlds of time and space. It is pure positive. There's no time and space there, no opposites, no cause and effect, no planets, no moons, no suns, no stars. They are whole planes of energy with constructs built and maintained within them for beings to get together without any negative or subconscious influence whatsoever, as free, consciously co-creative beings with the source itself, which is located many dimensions above here, in order to create collectively new ways of doing things. Something new took place up there that's changing the way the lower dimensions of time and space are managed without destroying them. That's been done before. Be above your body. Remember daydreaming in a schoolroom when you're bored, looking out the window, you see the parking lot, you might be hearing the teacher, but you're imagining being on that ski trip or at the beach by a waterfall with a beautiful woman, if you're a man, or vice versa. It is this aspect of you seeing that the physical eyes and brain are not seeing. If you close your eyes while you're in that classroom looking out the window, you're not getting any light from the physical reality into that brain at all. And yet you can imagine being somewhere else. The brain does not do that. A human brain is not designed, though people very misdirected believe this on Earth, it's not designed to see what you imagine somewhere else on another planet, another plane, or somewhere else on Earth, or in a parallel dimension. It can't do that. It's no motion picture camera in there projected on a movie screen like a theater for you to see things. The real you that isn't a brain or physical body running that body is what sees that. Remember this. Awaken to this. Be aware of this fact. You remain misdirected for the rest of your life here on this planet. Fortunately, something's underway now that can help all of you make this leap into knowing certainty once again. Be above your body, looking down on it kindly, sitting there or lying there with the eyes closed. Look around you. You can look through the walls of the house, right through the ceiling. You suddenly find yourself up at about 10,000 feet in the atmosphere. Whether it's day or night, you as the spherical being, round, are glowing. And you actually can light up the night around you so you can see the stars even through clouds and look down and see. You are still hovering above that body as a spherical being. You're in both places. The Atma is multidimensional in capability. It can be in more than one place at the same time, running bodies in different planes easily because it isn't made of matter. It's not nuclear. It's not atomic in nature. It is made of an energy that is not those things. If I set off a hydrogen bomb underneath an Atma hovering there at 10,000 feet, the bomb goes off, the Atma, nothing happens to it. This is important to know because it's who we really are. So you see your body's still there. You're hovering above it near the ceiling. You're hovering above it 10,000 feet, and you look up and see the stars and wonder what it would be like. And suddenly, we are all out in space, much further out than the space shuttle flew to get to the International Space Station. There's planet Earth with its polar ice caps, oceans and land masses. The atmosphereless moon with all of its meteor craters. It does not turn on its axis as it moves around the planet Earth. The sun, yellow sun in the distance. Billions of stars in space everywhere around us, up, down, to the side, in the background, the foreground. And you can see them clearly. And behind that, which you thought was a black energy, behind all things you see in time-lapse photographies of the Hubble Space Telescope or satellites or radio telescope images, is actually a white golden light packing and filling that so-called void of space. It is energy. It's telepathic. It is living. It is connected. It is one source, one power. It comes and moves through all the planes from a reality far above the lower dimensions of time and space. We cannot get around this, and no one ever will. We must work with that energy to do things like leap between the stars 1,000 times faster than what people think is the limit of the speed of light. 286,000 miles per second? That's not the limit of light. That's only the limit of light that physical human eyes can see. There's no limit to it, except the ones people have put on it, which traps them to concepts which bind them to Earth, because that's how ignorant they are of what it is they're investigating. 0-point energy, toroidal energy, the energy of the universe, is a living consciousness power. It is one power. It cannot be divided. It cannot be possessed, controlled, dominated, or manipulated by people or things on Earth or any world. It supports and maintains all life, good or bad, for now. We want to work with that aspect of that energy that is constructive, which helps set people free. If they say the right things and imagine the right things in it, it will co-creatively supply the conditions of what you place in it. Because, like us, it's telepathic in nature. What am I doing? I'm making a sound that vibrates the pineal gland, the center of the brain, and opens a doorway, a protected doorway that is not part of physical matter. You can't control it, but you can co-creatively work with it, and it will work with you. Whenever you imagine as a pure being made of the same energy, coming from a very higher level, running bodies in the lower universes, and you imagine properly into it, it will co-create those conditions. That one power brings all things into reality. We don't. As individuals, we're just one drop in a mighty ocean. You want to work with the whole ocean if you want to manifest extraordinary things. You are in space hovering around a friend of mine. His name is Ambassador Torellian. He is human, was, and you're going to see he has an 18-foot tall body, and I'm standing beside him. I'm much shorter. I look to be about 36. And it's an energy body that looks just like me on this Zoom thing, but perfectly healthy, flawless in every way. And it is a projection from the spherical being hovering above and behind it. That's me. And it is a form we show each other when we're as the Atma out in space so we can recognize each other. And you can see Perry there in a circle, and all of you on this journey in a circle around this friend who serves as a focal point. He's very kind, extremely wise. The body he's showing you, and there's an Atma hovering above him, is 18 feet tall, long, slightly curvy blonde hair, big blue eyes, slightly pointed ears like an elf, little white tunic. He looks like a Greek god, standing there with his two thumbs up and a white golden light surrounding them, which is like the energy all around us. So he serves as the focal point to keep us focused on getting some constructive, awakening, enlightening good of this journey. Otherwise, you can get lost in phenomena in millions of levels on billions of planets and never really gain very much. So we're in a circle, and each of you have a body about 36, woman or man, looks just like you, but perfectly flawless. This is an energy projection from the white core of your being, and we're hovering there in space right now. We get outside of the atmosphere of Earth because inside that atmosphere, it's predominantly negative in nature. Everything ever done to any being, slaughter, torture, death, Caesar, Rome, throw to the lions, anything you can think of, still is carried as frequency waves within the atmosphere of the planet, bouncing off the ionosphere just like a radio wave. They don't go outside the atmosphere out into space to pollute the rest of the galaxy. A strong enough radio wave can be projected out into space, but it can't carry all that negative stuff on it and have it stored in the void of space. There's no way to store that there. So that energy that people call the black void of space is not a void at all. When you look at the stars, you can see them clearly, but behind that energy is a white golden light, very fine. And it's humming. You can hear it humming behind the universe, like rolling thunder. But not frightening, just like the rumble of thunder, vibrating, supporting what you call worlds and moons and stars and suns and nebula, comets and meteorites, and bodies, DNA, and all that stuff. All the physical universes you see out here, billions upon billions of them, that you would see in a Hubble telescope, time-lapse photography, all vibrate in the same molecular time rate. If you want to know what a parallel dimension higher looks like, where Earth is in a next higher parallel dimension, 144, by the way, in just the physical universe alone, before you even get to what we call the astral. It's big. It's just big. Beings more advanced can circumnavigate in craft all 144, the more advanced races. But they do not take ships into the astral plane. That's made of a finer matter, and there are spaceships there. The two do not cross normally. So when I talk about the galactic interdimensional alliance of free worlds out there centered on a planet near the galactic core of the Milky Way galaxy, it's comprised of over 450 plus million spacefaring inhabited worlds, highly evolved, many of them human, that headquarter in just a little under 1/2 of the Milky Way galaxy. A 5,000 member council meets on that planet that represent this 450, 500, it's really more than that. But they have trade and association between parallel dimensions and worlds on all those levels. They, many of them, human and humanoid, some that are not, but kind, understand the nature of this energy between worlds and moons and suns. Because of that, they work with it and can get around far beyond the limits of, say, one of the basic laws of physics. Every action creates an equal but opposite reaction. That creates cause and effect. You want to work with energies without doing that. You want to work with the energy of the universe. You have to funnel it through your craft without polluting or using energy. It's not depletable. It doesn't create an exhaust pipe. It's not a warp drive in the future like Star Trek with a radioactive warp core. That's nonsense. That was based on science as people understood it at the time that TV program was created. But you can't get around the stars with radioactive reactors to do it. You're not going to do it with tailpipes polluting radioactive elements out the back to get across the stars. Beings that get around don't use radioactive energy that way to get around. They don't use it. 0 point toroidal energy. That's what they use. When you look out in space and you see Tyrellians standing there patiently waiting for us to come to a purpose, you look down on Earth and you can see that the Earth, the vibration of the energy we're in right now surrounding Tyrellian, changes. It moves up a little bit. You see the white golden light between the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun brighten, and you see another Earth in the place of the one you're familiar with. And this Earth has no polar ice caps. It has a big continent centered over the equator. From the left to the right hemisphere extends almost a third of the way below the North Pole, a third of the way above the South Pole, and there's another continent 2/3 its size centered over the equator on the opposite side of the planet. You can see right through the planet and see this. You can see the moon in this reality. It has a full oxygen atmosphere, rain clouds, 5 dome cities on the front, lakes and rivers. And as it's turning on its axis with gravity, as it goes around the Earth, you see 2 big dome cities in the mountainous area on the back side. And inside each of these domes are 3 4-sided, golden-sided, looks like quartz cap pyramids. These are devices in each one. And down on the one on Earth, which is in a higher parallel dimension of the physical universe, still in the physical universe, not astral, you can see a glowing green beach. It's crescent-shaped. There's this world, there's this continent that comes down almost a third of the way above the South Pole, and then there's this crescent-shaped beach. It's glowing with golden light you can see from space. It's emerald green color. And there's a soft blue-green ocean, luminous, coming up against the shore of a tropical beach, and a brown moss-covered path extending inland about a mile to a white circular marble floor with a statue of a woman. And now we're actually down on that Earth, looking at that green sand. And you look behind you, and you're hovering as a sphere above a body that looks just like you. And you're looking down and wiggling your toes in this green, radiant sand. And you look behind you, you can see Tyrellian standing up to his knees in the ocean water, smiling with 2 thumbs up with this golden white light growing around. You look down and you can see that this sand is glowing about a foot above the sand with green light. You reach down and pick up the sand, and it feels smooth. You can see little tiny pure emerald crystals glowing in your hand. And you drop the sand and you let the energy move up your legs. It's warm and soothing and cool at the same time. It moves up your torso. You look up smiling, goes into the white core of your being, hovering above it, and out to the green layer. And I showed you all the image on the book of the Atma, what it looks like. And then it lights up some of those teardrop-shaped faculties in that layer that have been dormant for maybe as much as 1 billion years in most of you. When you look inland, at the back of this curved crescent moon-shaped beach down this moss-covered path, you can see a single snow-capped mountain just to the right, further up the plateau. And you can see a huge dome city at a lower plateau to the left of the mountain. There's 3 golden pyramids in that with quartz caps and a half semicircular mountain range in the background, little waterfalls and rivers, put there for the aesthetic beauty of the people who work in that dome. A little oval blue-green lake and little white ivory-colored domes spread through the countryside with little curving snake-like little white marble floor roadways between them where people live. And when you look up at the mountain, you can see a waterfall cascading out of a cavern opening 2/3 of the way towards the summit. It drops straight down, luminous with blue-green light because there's a phosphorescent type of mineral in it. And it disappears behind the blue-green forest that surrounds the backside of that dome city. Galactic Alliance personnel and master teachers work in that city, in this Earth, 3 parallel dimension frequencies up from the Earth you're familiar with. It is there. And it's been there for a long time. And it's being used or will be used as a prototype for how Earth and the moon will be one day. The moon is not supposed to be barren and not turn on its axis. That creates tidal effects on the planet and in the water, which is 4th phase water in human bodies. H2O2, not H2O. That is a telepathic medium capable of recording multidimensional levels of memory and as a battery source, power source. People on Earth just don't know how to use it. They've forgotten that or had it suppressed. But it affects the pull on human bodies, so people are more emotionally imbalanced on Earth than other worlds because of this effect. So one of the things that will have to be corrected. The cyclic polar flips of Earth's poles have been permanently suspended. About a little over 8.5, 9 Earth years ago now. So there won't be any more golden age to iron ages and polar flips of this planet. We can't have a world go through any kind of unexpected uplifting transformation if the poles are going to flip and destroy all life again, as it has done many times. Doing that does not solve the problem of people on Earth being subconsciously misdirected, because they are. But out here in space, you're still around Terrellian, and you're still on the beach with your toes in the sand. And now you're walking in bare feet up the last few feet of this brown moss-covered path in the jungle, straight as an arrow, and you step onto a 100-foot wide white marble floor. And in the center of it is a statue of a woman, 10 feet tall, made of quartz, polished, with her hands like this up, fingers open, and green glowing light around them. And you can tell it's charging the sand in that beach. And this woman, when you look at this, you can see the image of a woman just behind the surface of the quartz. Silver hair, like silver metal, but soft. Violet eyes. Longer neck, longer fingers, longer torso than people on Earth because they're 10 feet tall. And she has a gold band around her forehead and an emerald-cut, teardrop-shaped, faceted emerald stone set in the center of it. And it's sending out an energy you can feel pass right through you because you, the Atma, are hovering above this body that's perfect, made of energy, so we can all see each other in a circle. Turelian is simply standing up in the atmosphere above this whole scene, looking down. The Atma hovering behind the form he's showing you. This is a device. When you look in this emerald crystal on the band around her forehead, you can see through it. And she is standing, the actual being, in a beautiful emerald green atmosphere, like the size of a soccer stadium, just standing there with bare feet. Her hands are up there. So you see, this is the person behind the device. Beside her is standing about a little taller, her mate or husband. They are from a race called the Xeontornamus on Xeontornamon 1, located from its on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy. It is 4 times larger than Earth, has no polar ice caps, and dome cities around, many little oceans and little rivers and lakes and all over its surface. And 3 moons at different distances the size of Earth with domes on them circling it. And in the distance you can see, projected right in this green atmosphere, what they're showing you are 3 suns. It's a trinary system. That means there's a blue-white giant closest, then a yellow sun like our sun, and a red dwarf out in the distance. And these planets circle all 3 suns, which circle each other. These beings are showing you the physical forms they have on that planet that have been immortalized. They have not aged in more than 3.5 million Earth years. These beings are not trapped in those forms. You can see the Atmas hovering above them, who they really are. And they did this to keep, as leaders of their world system, which comprises a little more than half the Milky Way galaxy, that works in harmony now with the Galactic Alliance and the other half. And they did this in order to maintain a constant focus for the beings of the worlds they oversee. But they're not trapped in bodies. I want to make that point perfectly clear. To immortalize the physical body and be stuck in it for 1,000 years would be hell. So this is what is happening with these people. They were genetic scientists and still are. And they've mastered what you would call genomes on the DNA. So there's no junk DNA in these forms. They're all turned on. And they're showing us what scientists on Earth, under the right conditions, can also accomplish, especially with their help. So they do not have disease. They don't have cancer. They got rid of microbial life on their planet altogether that was in competition with humans that were original forms of life experimental with billions of years ago. Makes no sense to leave them in competition with a more evolved form. Earth people have not learned this yet. They don't understand it. So they're here to show you what's possible. Let's take a walk on their planet. You can see it there like a holographic projection. And we're going to move right to that planet with them in this green, huge energy field. And then suddenly you look down and you see your bare feet walking on luminous, tiny, polished amethyst crystals that make a winding snake-like path along a winding kind of a blue-green, slightly violet water river that winds around along a valley, and in the distance are big mesas like you would see in Sedona, Arizona, or flat-top mesas and a big dome city in the distance. It too has 3 of these golden-sided quartz-capped pyramids in it that are devices. And we're walking along this path parallel to this river in this valley with the mesas in the distance. And you can see these 2 beings walking up to you. You can hear this amethyst polished crystals crunching under their feet. And they walk up to us. They're taller than we are, and it's this man and woman. This is the bodies they have on that world. So we are visiting them. They see the physical forms you're projecting from the Atma. And you look above them, you can see the Atma running those bodies above them. And they begin to talk to you guys spread out around this path, off the path in a circle, and they're just going to show you their world. You can look up and see the 3 Earth-sized moons with dome cities on them. You can see off in the distance 3 suns at different sizes at different distance in the daytime beyond this home world. And here you're seeing their physical body that's more than 3.5 million years old. No need to get rid of one and get another one, because the Atmas hovering above them are running it. They know what they're doing. When you go over to this river, you're going to put one of your bare feet into it, and you're going to feel an energy vibrating the bottom of your foot. The atmosphere of this world is pure. There's no pollutants whatsoever. The oxygen is much richer than on Earth. There's no pollutants in the water, none in the ground. Now, this is normal for many world systems out in our galaxy because they've mastered what to do with how they eat food, for one thing, because they don't need to eat food to live. They draw it directly from the 0-point or toroidal energy. That's right. Human beings, through the 4th phase water in the bodies, are actually photosynthetic capable. But humans on Earth don't access this. They don't know how to. So they don't have sewers and polluting systems. They use devices which transform waste into other useful molecular products. They change the molecular structure from one thing to another. And they don't abuse science or lie to their people. You can ask this man and this woman any question you like. Endeavor to make it one that will be of benefit to you and all life, if you can. You can hear the sound of the hue humming through their atmosphere. Much easier to hear on this world. Way up there like that. Then you find yourself in this green energy field, standing around with your physical forms and Atma from this Xiantranamus couple, and then you're outside the statue, and you can see them both standing inside it, right through the quartz crystal surface of the statue of this woman. You can see Turelian still hovering above this, and then you find yourself in space. Around Turelian, looking down on this world, there's the emerald green crescent-shaped beach. There's the dome city by the single snow-crowned mountain. To the left of it, the statue, the path, the ocean. And then there's the moon. This whole oxygen atmosphere and dome cities on it, circling the Earth, turning on its axis with gravity. And now you look up and you see looks like a water vortex turning clockwise. It's blue-green, looks like water, but it's luminous, and it's gently curving upward like a vortex right in the fabric of space. And on the other side of it, you see a beautiful robin's egg blue atmosphere, and in the distance, a long snow-crowned mountain range and palatial estates made of crystals and pyramids and spheres and things. And you can see a garden, a botanical garden with concentric circles around it of beautiful plants on the other side. And then you watch Turelian start to move upward. We are in a circle around him as beings. Around us is another 36 beings, men and women, body forms that look like yours, about 36, and Atmas, forming a sphere of energies loosely around us. And we're moving up into this vortex and moving to the other side of it. When you look down now, you can see us hovering around Turelian, looking at the Earth with no polar ice caps and the live moon way down there. We're still there. We're in both places at the same time, and then that vortex closes and vanishes, and you're looking down on a circular white marble floor, and on the edge of this, off to the right, is a man standing there. And there's a brown moss-covered path that winds up into the hills and goes to those palatial-type buildings and stuff along this snow-covered mountain range. And we are looking at a botanical paradise surrounding this white marble floor in concentric circles that go off into the hills. And this man is standing there in bare feet with a little white tunic dress from his waist down to his ankles, with his hand up, right hand in greeting. He's bald of head, bronze of skin, looks kind of like someone from India, but he isn't. Golden eyes, slightly pointed ears, 2 golden bracelets on his upper arms, and he's greeting us. And off in the center of this white marble floor is a scalloped out white alabaster fountain off a cylindrical shaft on a square base with a white marble sitting seat around it. And in the center of it is a statue of this being with his hands open, pointing downward to his sides. And there is a white golden light pouring from his hands down into this bowl, filling it, and it's dropping in an even glistening sheet around the outer scalloped edge and disappearing in the ground. Now, if you ask who this is, you'll tell you his name is Satnam. It means true name. It means a first manifestation of any form. And if you look above him, you'll see this brilliant Atma hovering there. And he runs this place. And where we are is the first dimension above the void known to Buddhist monks, some of them, and other esoteric groups on Earth. It is above the physical, astral, causal, mental, and etheric planes. It is in the first higher realm. And here, although you see a planet, you see a sky and mountains, there's no time and space here. These are constructs in an energy field that is a brilliant blue. And if you look closely behind it and breathe, you can see that there's a white golden light behind it. And he is the person who runs this place. He has a lot to do with pyramids and transformative change these days, because he went through a change himself not long ago by discovering with others how to fix the biggest problem in eternity. That is, how do we make the lower dimensions of time and space gardens and mirrors of the upper worlds? It's a long, many multiple billion-year-old problem to be solved, to be sure. He's aware we're here. And all we're going to do, each one of us, Torellian first, and then me, he's going to just step into an energy field like a shaft of white golden light coming down the top of the head of this statue. And Satnam's over there still with his hand up, smiling. He knows we're here. And Torellian vanishes downward, and we all do the same thing. And suddenly we come out in an area underneath this reality that's this pale blue void. Everywhere you look, it's this pale blue energy. Doesn't seem to be anything in it. And we're moving at tremendous speed downward, and suddenly you see this blue-green water funnel form, and through it, we're bypassing the etheric, mental, causal, and astral planes, and we're going right to that third higher parallel dimension above the Earth you're familiar with, where the Earth has no polar ice caps and there's a live moon with an oxygen atmosphere. And we're still hovering around twirling right there. We're in both places. And you hear the sound moving. We're moving on it. And the next thing you know, you're around Torellian. You look at the Earth, and it lowers in vibration, and you see the Earth with the polar ice caps, oceans and lands you're familiar with, and the barren moon that doesn't turn on its axis, and the sun in the distance. And the energy surrounding them and all the stars of space is this white golden light, humming like dull thunder underneath everything. And then you're hovering above your body back on Earth, looking kindly on that body that's in the trance state we call sleep. It's alive and protected, but no one's home yet. You're hovering above it. You send the experience of this journey, the best you can into the pineal gland, the center of your brain, and let it be recorded or moved out into your electromagnetic field you call the aura, and out into the planet and down into 3 pyramids that are stationed on Earth now, 2 at the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans, Pacific and Atlantic, and 1 inside a hollowed area in the Himalayas. And there's a similar fountain in all 3, and they're turned on. So this energy you're moving down through your body is connecting to them. This is pure, and it's connecting to a giant pyramid stationed between 2 stationary asteroids in the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter that circles in the orbit of where a planet should be. And that goes out to pyramids that have appeared between star systems, between stars. And then it goes upward from there. So be kind to yourself and realize the real you is not the brain or body. You're running it, yes, but it isn't who you are. That is a genetic entity that runs at 98.7 degrees Fahrenheit, carbon-based DNA structure. When you're ready, open your eyes.
Thank you, Scott.
So sometimes these journeys can be a little long, but it takes preparation to do things that no one's ever been taught growing up on this planet. They have to have some grounded basis for imagining things they've never even dreamed about. They can't imagine and do. So that's why we do these journeys this way on your radio show, thanks to you, that you're co-creating this. And I want to wish everybody out there, unless you have any other questions.
No, thank you.
The great goodwill, wonderful dreams at night. Remember, before you go to sleep, deliberately turn off. You just put aside in like a imaginary computer disk any negative fear of the present or the future. Family conditions, health conditions, fear of money, anything at all. The pandemic, just put it aside for now and turn it off. So you don't take that with you when you leave the body at night, because you all leave it every night. You want to bring back greater awareness and enlighten the brain and body that had none of this growing up. You want to educate it. You want to get it conditioned to accept entire, enormous understandings of the great cosmos, the multidimensional creation. And my message to people is they're capable of understanding it. If they tell themselves they're not, then that's conditioning that's limiting them. They just need to put it aside.
Yeah, Scott, for those who think that this our radio show is to benefit for others, please share this video too. Okay.
Sure. There are some people being prepared to contact me, somehow already have, about funding what I'm doing. It's not about money or power or greed or any of these things. It's about taking what this work is, because screenplays have been written, and moving it into the film industry. There are people being prepared for that. So I'll announce it. I wasn't going to, but Perry kind of wanted me to do this so that maybe someone will hear it, because some have, and appropriately respond, because they're being prepared to do this, to use their great resources in ways that will transform the planet. They can be in the classified community. They could be queen of something. Who cares? The point is that consciousness changes, and then people use energy which isn't really theirs to possess properly. So I'll say that much. And then wish everybody pleasant dreams, good journeys. You can go back to this when it's on Perry's YouTube channel. You can play it back and get lots of detail I guarantee you've missed on this journey, and you'll see just how much was accomplished. We could go more places and further out in other planets, and we'll do that another time. But first, we want to get people grounded in the experience of at least being able to get above the Earth, outside the negative atmosphere of Earth, into an energy that has none of that in it, and then work from there first.
Mm-hmm. And also can find the links of your website and under this video.
They'll be there when you go to it. Yep, you can go to paralleltime.com, PARALLELTIME, just like it's spelled. And I have 4 websites, and that's the primary website, but they'll be listed at the bottom of this video when Perry puts it up on our YouTube channel, and you can go back and play it again. Right, Perry?
Yes, correct.
Thanks, Perry.
Thank you for watching, everyone. See you next time. Thanks,
Good night.
God.